Hello, hello, once again, hello, everyone. Um, I'm not quite my self this morning. I had some disturbing, a very disturbing comment on one of my videos. So let me just get to the point. What I will be talking about today, and by the way, Romel, private investigator, that's the channel. I have to say that as a reminder. But what I will be talking about today is investigative work associated with, let's say, domestic violence, child support, things in that area, the family court, things in that area. So let me just get straight to the point. Women, my wonderful, my beautiful sisters, you have to really start to think. Think beyond this whole thing you sometimes refer to as love. You have to do that. The young lady mentioned that she was in a relationship. She had a young child that I'm assuming it's a boyfriend. It may be a husband. I don't get the impression it's a husband. It may be. But that he was abusive. Not only was he abusive, he deals with drugs to some extent. Of course, she didn't go into any strict detail, as I wouldn't expect her to. And also that there is some presumably a brief history associated with some sort of sexual touching of some sort. Now, those things can fall into felony and or the misdemeanor category, depending on the circumstances, age, and all of that sort of thing. So I'm trying to get to you. I'm trying to get to you. Perhaps mom and dad couldn't get there for whatever reasons. Maybe they're working 24/7. That happens. Maybe it's from some other situation. Maybe they fell into the same trap you may already be in or moving towards. So how do I get through to you, the young people? I'm a little older, but it doesn't mean I don't know anything. I have a tremendous amount of experience in many things. What do I have to do to get through? Do I do this? Is this what I have to do? How about maybe this way? Or perhaps this is more like it, sling it to the side. I'm trying to get through to you. It's so important. Your life, your children's life depend on how you deal with this domestic violence. Men who, for whatever reasons, want to consume the embodiment of you to a degree where you're either nothing, maybe even wished you were dead. But if you have children, you can't do that. And let me take this off. You get my point. Let me get into the particulars. So the young lady is asking me, what might she be able to do with respect to proving her point, his abuse? My general understanding is that they may be in court because she mentioned the gentleman either having the child or wanting to keep the child, things of that sort, and of course being abusive. So here's where things start. One of the things you want to do, you need to do. First of all, you have to compose yourself. Yeah, you have to take that big, deep breath. Now, you've also heard the other expression, you have to put on your big girl, you know where I'm headed with this. I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can, as respectful as I can. But you certainly understand where I'm headed. So what are some of the things you can do? Obviously, it depends on the situation that you're in, how far it's gone or perhaps haven't gone. So if you've had abuse, occasionally, and sometimes more, it's more occasion than other times, when there's some physical abuse that takes place, a woman or you women will call the police. And what happens is the police will make out a complaint. And somewhere during the process, before things begin to evolve to, let's say, the courts in a situation where, let's say it's going to go all the way to trial or something along those lines, a lot of women pull back. They discontinue. Now, some of them discontinue because of a threat. There are others who will discontinue because of this thing they refer to and they feel is love. And it's not. If a man loves you and respects you, he will not touch you. He may want to. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it because he doesn't want to lose that good thing. That's how a lot of us feel as men. You get that very special thing. You don't want it anywhere but in your arms. Now, when you back away, the charges are dropped and all of that sort of thing. You have not changed a thing simply because the police walked in. If anything, you may have aggravated your situation. Pissed the young man off. And the more it happens, the worse things get over time. So one of the things I'm trying to say to you before I get into the particulars is you have to watch these things, keep these things in mind. Now, sad to say, if you have a parent, a lot of us, well, people in general, but a lot of us grow up in single family households. Oftentimes, the father may not be there. You may have some male figures come in and out periodically and all of that sort of thing. But direction is not consistent. So you don't know what the hell to do when something arises, especially something social. And sad to say, sometimes the mothers are so frustrated in their efforts, they're of very little help themselves. Matter of fact, oftentimes, a mother will say things with respect to male-female relationships that are going to turn you completely against men. All you need a man to do is help you financially. That's all you need a man to do. And if he can't do that, you can do that by yourself. A lot of you young women and older women, you've heard it. You heard it in different versions, but you've all heard it. So getting back to in an investigative capacity, how does an investigator work, let's say with an attorney in matters like this? So one of the things you need to know is like, well, gee, how do I show that he's abusive? How do I be able to present that to a court such that they will honor my concerns with respect to my child and obviously myself, me, the individual. Various degrees of documentation. The first place you want to start, if you've made complaints before, the police are going to have, they're going to have that complaint. From one police agency to the next, there may be a different format for it, but there will be information associated with that complaint. So those are the things that you want to get. I will put something in the description area that'll give you an idea of how you get that information. Some information you may have to go through what's called the FOIA system, Freedom of Information Act. I will put that in the description area. It will help you. It will help you. Now, that's one thing you do. You build up that information that shows the abuse. Obviously, when you make a complaint, you describe the actions that took place. What's also noted as the complaint moves forward is the different action that the police took, what they found, what was said when they spoke to the individual, so forth and so on. And that can be very helpful. The other thing is this. Some of you may be really quiet about things like that. You kind of keep it on the down low. You get the hell knocked out of you. You don't go to the doctor. You don't go to the emergency room. You go to you go to bed. You go to bed. I'm not knocking you. I feel for you. Trust me, I do. Not the thing to do. When you have situations like that, the first place you should do is request the police to have you go to the hospital. Now you have even greater documentation. I say this for some of you, you may not have had that happen yet. It may be lurking and hasn't happened yet. For some of you, it's already happened. But if it's already happened, there's more than a likelihood that it will happen again. So in the event it does, that's something that you do. The other thing is this. We have the next door neighbors. Oh, they know everything. They know everything. They talk about it probably damn near every day. They pick up the phone and they just don't stop. You can look to them in certain situations to validate the comments that you make. So loud noises, people cursing back and forth, furniture being thrown all over the place. The neighbors hear that. That's information and testimony that can be helpful to you. So how do you approach your neighbor? It's simple, especially if she's a woman. She can feel. I shouldn't say she can feel, because unless it's happening to her, she can't. But she certainly can understand your pain. And in situations like that, I would encourage you to try to get her to make a statement. What's going to be important about making the statement is that the statement is notarized. That's very important. The statement will be virtually an affidavit upon the notarization, you see. You get someone to assist you in that process. And in some instances, if you have enough people who are saying this, and sometimes people don't want to come forward, but in certain circumstances, the courts and the attorneys can put things together such that people don't always have to come in. Again, it will depend on the circumstances and the situation. But what happens, and I've seen this. I am a true live investigator. The information I give you is first-hand information. Not something I read in a book. Not something I heard on TV. Not something that my imagination enables me to do. People die. So what a lot of, now another thing I'm going to mention is depending on your circumstances, you may very well want to consider a shelter. And don't get nasty about it. The shelters, a lot of shelters are nothing like what they used to be. They're reasonable living quarters, something you need to think about. Again, I will make note of at least one or two agencies, and these are national agencies. So this goes beyond whatever your state has. There certainly are options within your state. You go online, you pluck through it, you go to Google, so forth and so on. You make your phone calls and you start developing your resources. That's what you do. So now when we get back into the private investigative and associated with this, or at least that perspective with respect to an investigation. Comments made by people who've seen or experienced. The other thing is looking into the man's background, whether he has any history that you know absolutely nothing about, that certainly gives a great rides to why he's conducting himself the way he conducts himself. Of course, mention was made of some sexual activity, a sexual charge of some sort. Looking into that, what information comes out of that. With the fear that some of you have, you don't want to engage the police because you think you're going to get hurt severely, maybe even killed. Well, you have to think of it this way. What about your child or your children? What about your child or your children? Where do they stand? And I know you mean well. I want my children to accept and understand and have a relationship with their father. And I suggest to you, it depends on who their father is and how their father conducts himself. To have a relationship with a father who doesn't even come close to be a father, what are you really doing? What are you really doing to yourself, number one, and number two, to your child? You're making things all the more worse. If you're married and this type of thing is going on, so what do you want to do? Gee, I want to save my marriage. No, you're waiting for all hell to break loose. That's exactly what you're doing, because it's just a matter of time. Things don't normally get better without something different taking place. So if you're not doing anything different, you can expect more of the same. The pain will come. Your family will feel it. You will feel it. Now, an investigator also helpful in the area of trying to build up, let's say, the paper trail or the evidence travel, so to speak. You have bank accounts, or the lack thereof, but bank accounts, different things that are going on in bank accounts. You may be able to associate certain events that took place, and there's some discrepancy in the bank account around those particular areas. Now, those things are inferences. The attorneys generally will know what to do with that to make the case more sound for you in these court matters. You also have rent, things like rent, the fact that the rent's not being paid, and there's obviously there's a rent obligation. Prior relationships, talking to women that the person, the male, has he has had relationships in the past, some who may have had children also. And in some cases, these people will come forward. So in general, those are the types of things. It gets a little more profound than that, depending on what the circumstances are. But I bring this to you. Somebody has to say it. Sometimes it comes a little better from a stranger. I've seen too much. I've seen too much. Share this video. If you have some comments, you have some questions, or maybe some suggestions that I can talk about perhaps in another video, don't shy out. Don't shy out. You deserve better than what you're getting. You don't have to settle. I don't care how difficult your circumstances are. Everybody starts somewhere, somehow. Act like you know something. Don't fade out. Don't give back what you have that's so precious, that men desire so much. Don't let it go to waste. Don't tolerate. You don't have to fight anybody. You better leave them. As bad as you think things may be, if you leave an individual, stay a little longer. See what you think then. Okay, I've said enough. Subscribe, click the notification bell, leave a comment, reach out. If you need some help and I can help you in any way, leave some information in the comments and we'll see what happens from there. Listen, everybody, be well. Take care of yourself.